You are probably the most famous person in Nagoya that is not a celebrity.
So I woke up in the morning and I went and told my parents, I'm moving to China next week. And they were like, what?
One of the craziest things you've seen through one of your parties that you've thrown.
The craziest thing I've seen? And it was a huge success. Like 200 people came on the first night or something. Anything, you can turn anything into a party. You just gotta really have fun with the concept.
Interesting. I want to go there. I mean, I want to try every single sausage there.
Oh, I don't think I'd go that far.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Passion Project Japan. I'm your host Theo.
And I'm also your host, Gia.
And today our very special guest is Matt.
Hello.
Yes, Matt is the founder and CEO of Small World Japan. They are like an organization that organizes events for the international community as well as local Japanese here in Nagoya. And arguably, I would say that you are probably the most famous person in Nagoya that is not a celebrity.
I don't think I'd go that far.
I think if you walk down the street and you stop a gaijin on the street,
Yeah.
and provided they live in Nagoya, 80% of the chance you tell them, do you know Matt from Small World? They would
I
say
guess,
yes.
yeah, maybe that could be true, yeah.
And you're a celebrity then.
Yeah, you are a celebrity in our circle.
I don't know, that's quite a title to live up to.
So you want to introduce
scary.
yourself?
Oh yeah, my name is Matthew. I'm from the UK. I've been in Japan for about 9 years now. Before that, I lived in China, and I was an English teacher the whole time I've lived overseas. I've got history, marketing, advertising, but my BA was in architecture at Manchester University. When I came to Japan, I was an English teacher for about 5 years. And then somehow I fell into events, and I've been working in the events industry for the last 3 to 5 years, something like that.
And your English teaching in Japan was in Nagoya?
Yeah,
It was
I've
all in Nagoya.
always worked in Nagoya. Yeah,
And before that you were in China?
I was in China. Yeah,
Like which part of China?
Fuzhou, on the south coast,
Fuzhou.
near Taiwan.
Near Taiwan, yeah.
Yeah.
Fuzhou. But so can you speak Fuzhounese? Just
I
Mandarin?
can speak some Mandarin, yeah, but it's been about 10 years since I used it. So, sometimes people are like, "Oh, you speak Chinese," and I say, "Oh, yeah,
可以.
yeah," and then I wish I hadn't said yeah sometimes. Yeah.
So you took an architecture degree in University of Manchester.
Yeah.
Why don't you do anything with like that field?
Do you know any architects?
I do.
No.
There is the really famous Japanese guy who I forgot his name.
Tadao Ando?
Yeah, Tadao Ando.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's really. I think he did the giant Buddha in Hokkaido.
He's one of
Yeah.
my favorite architects, actually.
Yeah, Tadao Ando.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the first things I did when I came to Japan. I went to Naoshima, because a lot of the buildings on Naoshima were designed by Tadao Ando. So I went there to look at all that stuff, and it was really cool. It was like a dream come true. But yeah, do you know any architect, like as friends? Do you have any friends who are architects?
I do have one actually back home in Hanoi, but okay, to be frank, he was also struggling to find a real job in architecture as well.
That's part of it. I think a lot of people find it quite difficult to find a job in architecture afterwards, and it's a really, really long degree as well. It's like a 7-year degree. Or
7
something.
years. Wow.
Yeah, you need to do 3, and then you need to do some years in industry, and then you got to do your masters and pass some tests. It's pretty brutal, and the bachelor's degree is really difficult as well. So there's a lot of work you've got to do. So after that 3 years, I did 2 years as a painter as well, a fine art degree. I did 2 years before that. So I'd been in education, like higher education, for 5 years before when I graduated, and I was thinking, man, I just need to get out and do something else for a little while. So I thought I'll take a couple of years, work in a different industry, and then come back and finish my degree. But of course, I didn't do that.
You never went back.
I never went back.
You kissed architecture goodbye. And so that's when you went into marketing?
Yeah, I worked in marketing for a year or so, and I worked in kind of different things related to that. Created some ads, I did web design, I did all sorts of kinds of things. Anything related to design, I did that for a couple of years. And then I thought, I don't really want to go back to architecture, I really want to see the world, so I'm going to go and travel. So I started applying for jobs doing teaching, and I was originally looking for jobs in Japan, actually, because I was a bit of an anime geek when I was at school. So
what's your favorite anime?
My favorite anime ever?
Ooh, yeah, let's go there. Ever.
If I go historically, it's going to be Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one that got me into it in the first place, and I still look back fondly on it. Son Goku,
Okay.
what a badass.
There's nostalgia talking, to be honest. Yeah. and so you wanted to come to Japan because you were like kind of inspired by anime. And what year was that, if you don't mind me asking?
That was, I don't even know. That was 10 years ago, right? So that must have been 2014. And it wasn't so much that I was into anime. I was thinking, I want to see the world. I want to go somewhere completely different, somewhere where I don't understand the language, I don't understand the culture, I don't know anything about where I live. And the only country I could think of that I have a vague connection to was like, well, I was interested in Japan when I was a kid, so I started applying for jobs in Japan. And I got rejected a bunch of times. And then I got a phone call at like 3 a.m. from a guy in China. And he said, hey, I see you're applying for jobs in Asia. Do you want to come and work in China? And I was like, what, it's 3 a.m., man? Like, no, not really. And he said, just talk to me for 20 minutes, ask me anything you want, and I'll answer you completely honestly, and then you can make a decision. So I was there in bed, you know, in my pajamas, and I asked him every question I had, all the harshest questions I had, and he answered them really well. And he's such a nice guy. And it sounded really fun that I thought, yeah, okay, sure, I'll go. Let's give it a go. Why not?
Well, so you decided 3:30 a.m. to head to China.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy. But how did the guy find you though?
When you're looking for jobs like English teaching jobs, you put them all on like an ELT like website where you put your CV up, and then other employers can reach out to you. And I guess he found me through that. I don't know why he would have looked for me specifically, but yeah, so I woke up in the morning and I went and told my parents, I'm moving to China next week. And they were like, what?
Next week? Right, the week after you
It took like 2 weeks or something like that for me to like, get everything together. And yeah.
Was that scary? Like, I can't imagine, like, it was just like, how old were you at the time? If you don't, yeah.
I was about 25, 24, something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, scary is fun though, right? Yeah. I mean, the whole point was for me to get out of my comfort zone and do something I'd never done before. So the idea of me just kind of selling everything and moving out and moving to a different country, like at the drop of a hat like that was really exciting to me, you know? And the more my parents were like, no, reconsider it, the more I wanted to do it, actually.
Yeah.
So,
understandable.
I mean, they were happy for me to do it, but I think they were a bit surprised that I had made such a snap decision to go somewhere I hadn't originally planned to go at 3 a.m. Like, so, yeah.
How was it difficult for you to change from China to Japan?
I thought it wouldn't be, but yes, it was a hugely difficult thing. Actually, everybody says that the culture shock you get when you go to China is really bad. But I found the culture shock coming from China to Japan was much harder, actually.
Ooh, in what way?
China is a much more laid back, relaxed country where there are a lot more like individual freedoms. Like, as a person, as long as you don't like bother like talk about the government or you're not excessively political, you know, as an individual, you can do basically whatever you want, especially in like a B-level city, you know. And I never felt more free. And there is like you feel a bit like a celebrity there as well, right?
Fuzhou.
Because you know it's like a city of like 5 million or something like that, and there's like 1,000 foreigners in the whole city, so everybody treats you different. I never paid for a drink, like the whole time. I never paid for a drink. There was one club we used to go to called Tukalaka, right?
Very Chinese, yeah.
I don't know why it was called Tukalaka, but we used to go to a club called
100% authentic
Tukalaka.
representation of China.
Every time we wanted to go, the guy would just be like, come in, you know, the foreigners come in for free. And my last day there, my last night there, we're like, let's go to the club and let's pay for everything. And they just would not take my money. Like, no matter what, they were like, into the VIP. I was like, can I buy a drink? No, this one's for you for free. I was like, it was really frustrating, actually.
What a celebrity.
But yeah, it was the same for all of the foreigners.
So that's where you cultivated your celebrity status in Fuzhou and now in Nagoya.
I don't know about a celebrity, man. But yeah, the transition to Japan was really difficult because that suddenly just evaporated. Yeah. And that freedom and, of course, being able to speak the way you want and talk to people the way you want and kind of do what you want, it just disappears when you move to Japan. Everything is based on the rules and fitting in with everybody else and behaving in a certain way and not drawing attention to yourself. It was very much the opposite of China, and I really, really enjoyed being in China and having that freedom. And coming to Japan felt really like stifling. And I found it really difficult to make friends, and it was a couple of years before I made any like really good connections, and that made me really wonder if I was going to stay here.
Do you have any like stories about like that kind of stifling environment?
Well, I know that when I first came from China, everybody thought I was a jerk because you're kind of loud and, pushy and rude, and that kind of personality kind of goes down quite well in China in social situations, but it doesn't go down well in Japan when you're like that. And I think a lot of people found me really abrasive, and it took me a couple of years to kind of soften out my personality and become a bit more personable, friendly, nice, polite. So I think I've reached like a balance now, maybe. I hope. Yeah.
Hey there. If you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, please do so.
And so how did you find your job in Japan?
My first job in Japan, I worked for an eikaiwa, like standard eikaiwa. And again, I was very rebellious, and I didn't like to follow rules, and I wanted to do things my way, and that doesn't really go down well in Japan, so I didn't last very long at that job, actually.
Okay.
I lasted about a year, and then I moved to a different job. And from working at eikaiwa, I switched to a dispatch company. And the dispatch company, it was one of the best jobs I've ever had, actually. I worked there for like 6 years, and they basically gave me the freedom to teach whatever I wanted, wherever I wanted. They gave me the textbook, and they said, okay, now go to Gifu and teach a 2-hour class.
Okay.
And they trusted that I could do it as long as the feedback from the students was good. And that meant that I could see a lot of Aichi Chubu. I had a lot of different students. I had a lot of freedom and control over my own classes, which is basically what I wanted from the start. And that went really well, and I worked there for a long time. It was good.
Why did you decide to change to events planning then? If you're so...
I didn't really plan to.
Oh, really?
It wasn't my intention to switch to events at all. I never really considered being in the events industry at all. That was never a plan of mine. I always used to throw a lot of parties when I was a kid, when I was at high school and university, and I really liked throwing parties. That was something I enjoyed. But I never really thought I could make a career out of it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I was at somebody's birthday party at the Rock, the bar. And there were a lot of people there, and this guy said, "Hey, I've just bought a bar." And I said, "Congratulations! You should do an opening party." And he said, "Nah, I'm too lazy. You organize it, and you can keep the entry fee." And I was like, "Wow, sure, we'll give it a go." And I thought I'd try it out, and it was a huge success. Like 200 people came on the first night or something. It was
That's crazy.
Crazy.
What was the entry?
I think we put 1,000 yen or something like that entry at the time.
And 200 people.
Yeah, so it was really big success, and it was a great night. And then he said, "Do you want to do it again next month?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it again."
Yeah.
And then I did it the month after, and the month after, and the party was growing, and more people were coming. And then I thought, okay, maybe I can make something out of this,
Wait, but how do you get like 200 people
Yeah, exactly.
to just turn up to this party?
Yeah.
Like, were you at the time really well connected with like the scene or like international people, or like how do you get the word out?
Well, it wasn't so much that I was really well connected. Actually, I wasn't that well connected at the very beginning. I mean, I found that doing events has made me much more connected with the local scene. I'm an extrovert. I like socializing with people, and I go out. I always used to go out when I had the opportunity, but I wasn't this big like socialite. But we had a lot of friends, and the idea of just an ordinary person hosting a party back then that wasn't like an organizer was quite a big deal. And we kind of asked everybody, "Do you want to come? It'll be really fun." And they told their friends, and they told their friends, and suddenly it became this huge thing, and loads of people came. Also, the location, which I'm learning now, was a really good place to do it. It already had a base, and it had really good foot traffic, which meant that if there was sound coming out and there was like a queue, people would be interested, and they'd come too. So yeah, only now do I look back and think, man, that was a great place to do a party. But
The Rock.
Where was it? Oh, the
no,
Rock?
that was at my bar. The first party we did was at my bar.
Oh.
My bar doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, okay. I was like, where is my bar?
Yeah, it used to be next to the TV tower.
Oh.
Cicada, prime
like
location.
immediately next to the TV tower, 1 block from the TV tower, like facing it, and it was like this underground B1 location. It was a really nice place, run by at the time it was a Brazilian guy, but I think more historically it's been known to have been run by a couple of Argentinian girls.
So you were, at this point in time, you were still working for the dispatch company?
Yep.
And you were kind of just doing this like on the weekends, throwing parties on the weekends.
Yeah, it wasn't really a plan. I didn't really see anything coming of it, but I thought, hey, once a month, let's do something like this, and it was cool.
Okay. And it was just yourself for organizing this event?
It was me and my girlfriend at the time.
Okay.
We kind of started it together. Yeah.
And then when did Small World as an organization or like as an entity like emerge?
The original plan to do that was just before COVID, actually.
Wow.
So it was about 2-3 months before COVID where we started getting all the paperwork and things together. And then COVID happened and we had to kind of abandon everything. And then like the year after COVID, we decided to make it an official entity.
Okay.
It was difficult, but I think it needed to be done because I knew that I wanted to make it into a career at that point. So I needed to get that done sooner rather than later. You know?
So the whole time during COVID, you had to like put a pause to the events, or were you still cultivating this like events community like through online stuff?
This was really hard because we never really knew like when COVID was going to end or if it ever was going to end. And I wanted to, the most important thing for me was that the community was still like looked after. So I wanted to maintain a presence and still be providing stuff for the community, especially when everybody felt so disconnected. But it was really difficult to do that. I don't know if you've ever tried doing like online meetups and stuff.
Super difficult. I still remember last time because we entered the school during the COVID, everything was online. Even like the meetups was online, and nobody was actually interacting to each other. You know, they didn't really turn on the camera. No one was talking about anything. Mostly it was the host who talked about themselves or among themselves, right? So
yeah, I think online events, they're really difficult because, for example, now let's say there are 3 of us, we can kind of talk over each other. We know when someone's going to end, and that's how the conversation flows really easily.
Yeah.
Whereas online events, there's only one person talking at one time, and if there's another conversation that you want to have with, let's say, like the guy behind the camera, you
can't do it.
You can't do that. Yeah, like it's really difficult to have multiple conversations. So you're all just locked into this one person speaking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, doing online hangouts was really difficult. So the idea of doing a conversational type event was basically impossible. And everybody had to wait their turn. You're stuck in a chair and it's awkward. So instead we started doing some events we were doing online, like trivia. We were doing the quiz online, which kind of worked. But there was no dynamism. And then we tried all kinds of other things. We were doing YouTube videos and we were doing like live streaming and loads of things. We tried to do all of our events online. We did cooking shows. We did loads of different stuff just to kind of keep the community engaged. But I don't think it fell on deaf ears. I think the audience was happy that we were doing things like that. But at the same time, it was a huge amount of energy, and it didn't really pay off in a way. So it felt like we were screaming into the void a lot.
Yeah.
So it was very stressful, very stressful. So we kind of stopped that after about a year. You know.
Once the COVID is over, I was wondering how is the business model of Small World is like? Did you hold the events every month or like every week? How do you keep it continue?
After COVID, or like, I mean, before COVID, I mean, we've always kind of followed the same kind of structure. Like we started at the international party, but we kind of expanded out of that more because we wanted to do stuff for the community, right? So I think the second event we did was maybe trivia, but we took that from somebody else when they left Japan. They moved back to the States and they said, we've got a trivia event. And we said, okay, we'll take care of it. But I think the next event we did after that was the trash pickup, the Sunday Pick Me Up event. That's probably our second longest running event. And that was more because we wanted to give back to the community, right? So at that point, we had 2 or 3 events. We were doing once a week. And then we thought, hey, let's throw something else in there. So we had one every week. But after COVID, everything was a risk. Everything was a massive risk.
Yeah.
So we couldn't really host events with the same kind of frequency and then be sure that people would come because, of course, events cost a lot of money as well. So things like the international party, I think that was the first one we brought back, the international party, and we did that, I think that was in November after the restrictions were lifted, after the hard restrictions were lifted.
That was in 2022, I guess, right?
I can't remember. 2022, probably.
Probably November 2023.
Not so long ago.
Yeah.
And it was not great I mean, the whole energy about it, if I felt guilty hosting it.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of online hate for having done it, because everyone was like,
Wow.
COVID is still there. I can't believe you do this kind of thing. And everybody was wearing masks, and there was that kind of like weight in the air. And of course, we didn't get enough of a turnout to make it worthwhile. So everything about that was like, it's not going to work out. So it took a few more months before we actually came back officially, when the restrictions were officially lifted. And then we came back with the international party, and it all came back fine, actually. 2023 was a pretty good year for events.
Guys, we are upping up our short form content game this year, so if you don't want to miss that out, please follow us at Passion Project JP on Instagram and TikTok. Exclusive content just for you guys. But I just have to know, like, what is like one of the craziest things you've seen through one of your parties that you've thrown?
The craziest?
Yeah,
thing
craziest.
I've seen?
Like really, like you look at it and like, wow, this wow. Maybe this wouldn't even happen in the UK. Which my image, mad parties, just like craziness. But what's one thing that you experienced and you're like, oh wow, I did not expect this to happen?
Actually, it's like pretty tame. Like most of our parties, we got good people, you know. They don't do crazy stuff.
Yeah.
This is something we have to tell a lot of
Is
the
that a
venues.
challenge? It's like
I mean, we have to tell the venues often. Sometimes they're like, oh, party with lots of guys, you know, I don't know, you know. And we have to reassure the venues, like, we're good, you know, we're not going to break anything, you know. But actually, the first time we did a karaoke event, this was a real mess. I look back on this over and over again. And it's a huge, like, really big lesson that I learned from this. We thought, oh, karaoke event, that'll be easy, right? So we booked a venue, and we said, hey, do you have, like, karaoke equipment? And they said, yeah, sure, no problem. And then when we got there, we'd sold like 60 tickets or something in Nomi Hodai. And there was just this tiny little amp at the back of the room with, like, 2 speakers on cables and no, like, this tiny little television. And as soon as the people started coming in, we were like, oh no, we've made a huge mistake. What are we going to do? And then we tried it out and it didn't work at all. It didn't work at all. Nobody could hear anything. So we found that this, like, the venue had like a PA system that wasn't set up. It was just kind of sitting around at the back. And one of the guys that came to the event, he's like got experience setting up equipment and stuff, you know, sound equipment. And he was like, after like half a bottle of vodka, he was like, oh, I think I can figure out how to make this work, you know? So we were there like carrying speakers from one end of the room to the other end of the room and like trailing wires across the ground, trying to get all these things set up, static, like horrible static,
while like
screeching,
60 people are
whilst people are in there
waiting,
trying to sing, some people trying to get drinks. A real mess. One of the most embarrassing like failures ever. Like, but it was Nomi Hodai and everybody was super drunk, and I think everybody's memory of that is pretty good, actually.
So did you get the PA system to work?
No.
Yeah.
It didn't work at all. Didn't work at all. We're carrying it around for like 40 minutes. Didn't work at all. No.
So in the end, it was just Nomi Hodai event, kind
It
of.
was just a Nomi Hodai with karaoke that didn't work. You know, some people were really upset they didn't get a chance to sing. Most people were okay that they got a chance to drink a lot. And I was behind the bar at the same time. We didn't have staff. It was me serving the drinks. So as soon as people were like complaining, I was like, well,
Let's drink.
you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Have a drink. You know?
Messy.
Yeah, it was real messy. So yeah, I learned a lot from that. Make sure that everything with your venue is right.
working.
Don't make any assumptions.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm so surprised you didn't do like a pre-event visit, you know, just to like a location scouting.
I mean, like pre-COVID, back when things were good, like everything was completely different. It's post-COVID where things got tough, where we realized we had to be a bit more professional about things.
Yeah.
Back when parties were good and loads of people were coming, no matter what, it was easy. You know, you just throw an event, people will come, it'll be a success. If it doesn't go well, everybody will be, you know, have a good time anyway. It was only when, you know, post-COVID, where people were a bit more hesitant, less people started coming out, we had more competition, that we had to start, you know, being really serious.
Oh, and that gives a really good transition, because you said you have to be a little bit more professional and a bit more serious. So I kind of want to ask you about your playbook for organizing events and how you manage to attract people and convince them to come out. Because both of us have experience trying to organize events here in Nagoya. Varying levels of success to invite people out. So yeah, if I could just peel back the mystique of organizing events and figure out how you do it. So let's just say it's a party, right? We want to get people to come and speak English, which is just the easiest thing that international people can organize, a Koryukai International Cultural Exchange event. So what would be the steps? Like, how do you find a venue? How do you get the word out? And how much do you charge? And what are the considerations that you have?
So you want to do a language exchange event kind of thing?
Yeah, let's say language exchange.
Language exchange.
Okay, language exchange event. So I guess you got the concept, but really the most important thing is making it different to everybody else's. I think you got to do a bit of brainstorming to think, how can we make this event different to everybody else's? It could be something really simple, like just a visual theme or something like that. But if it's just language exchange, please come. There are no shortage of language exchanges in Nagoya. There's hundreds of them. So you got to find a way to make it stand out from everybody else's. And once you've got that idea, come up with a really clear concept of how you can execute that. And so maybe you draw out the venue and say what you're going to do in these different places, come out with a program of what's going to happen at different times, and really brainstorm, come up with some really, really cool ideas, and then choose the ones that you like the best and develop them a bit further. Second thing you've got to do is make a budget. I didn't know anything about budgets before COVID, but now make a budget. So how much things are going to cost, how much you expect things to cost, and then start fitting things into it. So you got to start talking to the venues and seeing what kind of capacity do you want, how many people do you want, or do you think you can get to this event, and then you're going to start looking around for venues that you've probably attended before and see how much they're going to charge for you to do it. Either you can rent the place, which is likely to be very expensive, or you can host the event there, but then also have customers coming in. So there's a bunch of different things you have to weigh up whether or not you're going to ticket. If you're going to ticket, you need to make it a private event, really, right?
Okay.
So step one is make yourself standing out.
Yeah, differentiate yourself.
Differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
How can we do that if it's like a language exchange? How do you think?
Okay, if it's a language exchange, let's say we were doing it this year, we were going to host this Koryukai event. I guess we can do like you said, theme, right?
Yeah.
What themed as in people come in a costume?
I mean, I've got a joke with one of the guys I work with, right? He says, well, we play a game come up with a stupid idea and I'll make a party out of it, right? So you can turn anything into a party. You just got to really have fun with the concept.
Yeah.
We were sitting on my couch and talking about it. He said hot dogs. And I was like, a hot dog party? That sounds so lame. And then we started thinking about it. Actually, you could probably make that pretty cool. You could do 2,000 yen, tabehore hot dogs, right? You just get a mess of hot dogs, so many hot dogs, and people coming back. Get as many hot dogs as you want. You have all the toppings on the side. You have all the event graphics are based around hot dogs. All the slogans would be hot dog jokes. Get people to dress up as hot dogs, hot dog graphics, hot dog decorations. And suddenly it becomes this really big fun event. It becomes cool, So you can run with anything as long as you really double down on the concept. Anything will work.
Please tell me the event was called Sausage Party.
Exactly.
Yes.
I never did it, but it's there. I know that if I ever need to pull a wild card out, it's I can do the sausage party.
Okay. Sausage party is copyrighted, guys. Do not steal that concept. I want to see Matt in a hot dog costume.
Yeah. Interesting. I want to go there. I mean, I want to try every single sausage there.
Oh, well, okay. Okay, sure. Some relish, some mustard as well. Yeah. Okay, so having that differentiating factor, and then you said come up with a budget.
Yeah, that's step 2, coming up with a budget.
How do you know how much things cost? What are the main costs in your head besides venue?
A lot of it comes from experience and knowing kind of how much things are going to cost. Most of it is venue. The venue is going to be the big hit. That's going to be the most expensive thing. So you can kind of imagine, based on experience, how much different venues are going to cost depending on their capacity or what kind of features they've got. Some have got really good sound systems. Some of them have got great staff, great wait staff, restaurants, things like that. Others are just a big empty room. So you can kind of estimate how much they're going to be based on those things. So that's your big thing. Okay, the venue's going to cost this much. And then you start adding things on top. And you can actually run an event. If your venue is free, you can do an event for almost free. It depends what you want to put in there. So if you were doing a language exchange, there's not a whole lot you need to pay for, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends on how much extra stuff you want. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to provide name tags and stuff. But let's say it's a language exchange, pretty chill. Let's run with the sausage idea. I kind of like it. Yeah.
You
So
need
let's
to-
say it's
ingredients for food.
yeah,
Yeah.
food and stuff.
So you're going to
Yeah.
start calculating how much each person's going to eat. So if you've got 50 people coming, you've got to imagine each person's going to eat like 3 hot dogs. Some are going to push themselves to eat 5. Each hot dog you could probably get for, I don't know, like 100 yen each, right? 150 yen each. So that's going to be that cost there. You're going to put all that in. How are you going to heat them up? Do you get a microwave, or do you get like a grill kind of thing to boil them in the water? I don't know. But you got to start adding together all these things. And then, of course, if you're going to do that, you need staff. Are you going to pay somebody to work there, or are you going to do it yourself? If you're going to do it yourself, you're going to burn yourself out throughout that day.
Yeah.
Like, you need some support. So maybe you can get some friends to help you out. Again, these are things you got to factor in. And then it depends how skilled you are as well. Things like promotional materials. If you can make them yourself, you can save a lot of money. If you have to hire somebody else to do it, that's going to cost a lot of money, because promotional
That's
materials
true.
are actually quite expensive.
Yeah, with Canva, I guess now you can do
Quite easy to
pretty
make it yourself.
pretty fast, pretty lightweight. You don't need a very experienced graphic designer. So I want to ask you how you get people to your doorstep. How do you get people to turn up for your event, and how do you get the word out? Basically, is there any like tips or tricks you have for like really making this blowing up your event on social media or something?
I have the advantage of having done this for a long time, so I've already got a base.
Yeah.
So whenever I post anything, thousands of people see it off the bat. And I have the reputation as well. People know that my events are going to be good, so they're likely to come, just off the name on its own. If I was starting out from scratch, it would be a lot harder. For me, I would do a free event first. Like, the first event I would do would be a free event, because there's no risk for anybody involved.
That's true.
So,
True.
yeah.
They can back out anytime, basically.
They can, well, they don't have,
They don't. There's no cost to them.
yeah, the idea of coming to a free event and then leaving 20 minutes later is no big deal, right? So they can, if you do a free event, I would get a free space, find a free event, get your friends to help you out, and then do a free event. But if I was going to do a paid event, how do I get people to come? A lot of it is going to be in guest list. Find the most influential people you know and sell the idea to them. Tell them that it's going to be a really good time. Like, pitch it to them, essentially. You can do that through conversation, or you can physically like show them what the event is going to look like. With the most important thing is that you are excited about the idea. If you are excited, you can really sell it up well. If you think the idea is going to fail, you're not going to sell it well, and people are not going to want to come. Talk about it a lot. Find some people who are influential and have pull, and ask them, give them free tickets, and ask them to come and tell their friends. That's a big way to do it. Invite your own friend group, for free. Anybody who you know is likely to come anyway, just like bring them for free.
Is all your traffic organic, or this is super nerdy? But have you ever tried paid ads?
Yeah, we
to
tried
target?
paid ads. They don't work that well.
Okay.
See.
So as in the return on investment for the paid ads wasn't really worth it.
Something that works is boosting posts that are successful. It's post-event. So
Post-event.
Post-event.
I see. Okay, that's
So
interesting.
usually what I do is, when I've got a huge event that's been very successful and I have some great photos, I'll post the photos. They'll get like 100, 200 likes. And when I see it gets over 150 likes, I'm like, okay, that's a lot. I'll put 1,000 yen into it, boost it. And if it gets more reach, then I'll boost it further. But it doesn't happen that often. Things like Halloween or like the final international party, things like that get huge response on social media. So that stuff works. So that brings in new people to your community. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah. So
See.
the event itself, when you're at the event itself, what are the considerations you have? Because for me, I find it, if I'm the one running the event, I find it difficult to enjoy the event because I have like so much things going on in my head. But I've been to like international party once, actually, like years ago, and I saw you just completely just with the crowd, just having fun.
Jamming.
How do you not like feel the pressure of like?
I do.
Oh, you do? Wow.
I
Okay,
do.
you mask it really
of course
well.
I
You
do.
mask it
Actually,
really
this is something I struggle with quite a lot.
Yeah.
Being able to take my eyes off the workings of the event. Definitely more. The longer I've been doing this, the harder I find it to do, actually. The more complicated events get, the more I feel I have to kind of monitor everything. So I do move about the crowd, and I do talk to people, and I do a few shots with people. But in the back of my mind, I'm also like, it's get a bit hot in here, music's a bit loud, there's a queue at the door, you know, all of these things I do notice, and that can be difficult to balance. Yeah, you know, if you're talking to somebody and you're having a conversation, and in the corner of your eye you can see something going on, suddenly there's a distraction, and you lose track of the conversation. That's not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really difficult. It's something I struggle with a lot, actually. Having somebody to support you is a big help. Kago is now my number 2. I don't know if you've met Kago before, but he's absolutely fantastic, and he really takes a lot of that stress off me, because I know that even if I haven't got my eye on it, Kago's probably got his eye on it, and that's great. He's always taking care of stuff, so that helps. Having support.
You see the DJ that?
Yeah.
Then I think I met him. He was in the Novsta party the other day.
Yeah. And so now we've done the pre-event, getting people in the door. Promotion. We have the event itself, where you are trying to focus and hopefully have somebody to help run the operation side of things. Do you have any other questions about that? Oh.
Yeah, so like 1, 2, 3, kind of 3 steps, right?
Yeah.
What's the next step for having like successful?
Where are we?
Well, I
So
guess
the first one is come up with the concept, right?
Yeah, come up with the concept,
Budget. And
Promotion.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to add to the promotion is make sure it looks good. Like, this is the big thing for me. Like, all of my promotion has got to look awesome. I don't want to put out any flyers that look like I've made it in 10 minutes. It's got to look killer. And that really sets your work apart from everybody else's.
Yeah.
Loads of people have flyers that they've made on Canva in 10 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
And
you can
that
tell.
works.
You can tell.
Yeah.
It works if you've got a small community and you've got a close group of friends, and they're going to come because they know you, and they're going to come no matter what it looks like. But if you're trying to sell the idea of a party to somebody who's never met you before, it's difficult. And the best way to do that is to communicate that through like quality promotional materials. It suddenly sets you apart from everybody else. Yeah.
I agree. That's kind of what we're doing with the podcast as well. We try to have this really professional looking setup,
Cool looking.
just so people will take us like seriously. They'll be like, that's weird. Like, why are these students, instead of just, you know, starting off with a very shoddy, maybe that's like the marketing background, like of your marketing background speaking.
Well, it's my own psychology as well. Like, when I look at stuff, when I see stuff, I'm like, I'd rather go to something that looks really good than something, especially if there's no like prior like photos or documentation of previous events. The only way I can judge whether or not somebody cares about that with the quality of their output is going to be the promotional materials, right? So, and the way that you guys present yourself, I can see that you take it seriously, and that's a really big thing for me as well. So yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming to us.
Yeah, it's a wisdom bombs. So that's the promotion side, and then we got the people in the door and on the day itself. Anything to add to that process?
I guess the 4th step is document. Like,
true.
Document stuff hard. Like, the best way, like, I can't remember where I read this, but some marketing book or something, it was like, people might listen to you if you tell people how good you are, but other people telling other people how good you are is definitely going to make them take notice, right? So the best thing to do is to get other people who are at your party to do Instagram stories, photos, tag you, share that stuff, share in the moment. The most powerful stuff is going to be that FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. So all the people who are at home and someone said to them, hey, do you want to go to that small world party? And they're like, nah, and just stay at home. And then they open their Instagram and they see the stories of all their friends having an awesome time. They're going to feel like, damn, I made a real mistake not coming out today, right?
Yeah, FOMO is one of the strongest like motivators for people to buy stuff or to go to stuff. Yeah.
Right. So getting people who are there to do really good social media, you yourself capture stuff and share it, tag everyone who is in those photos, videos, and then after the event, well, you've probably got some professional photographer, someone who's really good, and a videographer if you can afford it. And then once you've got those high quality photos sent over to you, blast them out, share them gradually, and make sure that everybody's tagged. People love seeing themselves in photos, right?
True.
So people are going to share photos that they're in if they're good photos. If they're bad photos, they're not going to share them. So make sure everybody looks good in all the photos, share them out. You know?
And so there's like the post-event. Really, like what you said, like the post-event is pretty important because it sets the foundation for your next event. So you boost the posts that are doing well, you tag people, make sure people are talking about it after that.
Right.
Yeah.
I suppose that kind of crossed over. But the other thing at the party is to introduce people to other people. If you're doing it like a networking kind of thing, you talk to people, make sure everybody's feeling good. There's bound to be people like hanging around on their own that don't know anybody. Talk to them, bring them into another group, and make them feel comfortable. Because if they meet somebody there, they've got what they wanted out of that event. They came there because they didn't know anyone. If you introduce them to somebody so they know somebody, they're going to come back likely with that person again. So that's a powerful thing to do.
Yeah. So I have a question. You don't need to answer this if you don't feel comfortable. But on average, can you give a ballpark sum of how much you make per event?
It really depends.
Okay.
It really depends. I mean, you must have seen that we do some smaller events and we do some bigger events. A lot of events we do don't make any money, and then there are other events that's by design as well. Some events we do and they just kind of make a little bit of cash, and those ones are more that they maintain a community. I really want to do events that kind of cater to all of the different communities, you know. I noticed that people were coming to me and saying, we don't have like a futsal group, or how do I play futsal? So I made a futsal group. That's not like a big cash like money maker, but it's created a community, and they go every time and they feel comfortable and made new friends, and that's why we do that one. Same thing with Sunday Pick Me Up. That's a community event that really helps improve the image of foreigners in Japan as well. To see us walking around and cleaning the streets in such a big group, you know, it really makes people take notice of us, and that's a really important thing to do too. But then we have, you know, international parties and like language exchanges and stuff, which make an okay amount of money. And then we have big hits every now and again, like Halloween, New Year, stuff like that. Those are really big ones. So, yeah.
Is it? Yeah, I don't know. Is there like a range maybe for, let's say, Halloween event? Like,
I'll let you work it out. But like, let's say last year when we did Halloween, we had 550 people come, right? And,
550.
and that was a 3,000 yen ticket.
Do the math.
But of course there are expenses, you know, venues cost money, all the promotional stuff, like promotions for Halloween this year was something like 200,000 yen just to promote it. Yeah, we did photo shoots and, you know, all sorts of stuff. It was cool.
The scale is way bigger than I imagined, to be honest, because like so far when I organize the event in the university, we have a certain budget, and then we just spend based on the budget that we have. Yeah. And usually it's not, and it should be free for students as well.
The total available market for students is just people within
the university.
Yeah. And I noticed that you have a student mixer coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to shield that for the audience? Like promote that?
I can. Yeah. So we're doing a student mixer next week. We've done mixers before, but
what's the actual date? Sorry.
Oh, it's next. What is that? January 28th.
January 28th.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, January 28th.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Sunday. The idea is that actually when I meet students, most of them are within their own little bubble. You know, they like Meidai students know Meidai students, and Nanzan students know Nanzan students, and NUF students know NUF students, but they don't really know each other. You know, they might see each other, they don't interact with each other. So sometimes I go to events and they're all in these little groups, not talking to each other. So I wanted to do like a student mixer to bring them all together in one place so that they can kind of start making connections at different universities. I think that's when I was at university, that would have been really good for me. I never really met anybody outside my own university. So that's what we're doing next week. It's free if you register in advance. So register in advance on the Small World website.
Yeah. Link we'll put in the description below.
Totally.
Yeah. And so, Matt, please, where can they find you? Where can they learn more about Small World?
Small World, we have the website. It's the smallworldjpn.com. We're on social media, smallworld_insta on Instagram. We have Twitter. Don't use it much. And Facebook, we're there as well, but less so than usual. Meetup, of course, /smallworld. I mean, everything is there. You can find all of our events online. And of course, if you have questions about anything, send us a DM.
Yeah.
If you're interested in organizing an event or join his event, let him know, okay?
Yeah, just DM him. Hope, and I mean, I'm interested to go for the student mixer.
Yeah, I'll probably be there next week.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a good opportunity to network with other students. So if you guys want to meet us there, pre-register in the link below and let's go. Yeah.
And it's free.
And it's free.
It's free.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on, man.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me.
all the values and the wisdom bombs about events and sausage party.
And the sausage party.
And
It
sausage
will
party.
happen one day.
Yeah.
It's a myth right now, but one day it will be realized, I promise.
For sure. Sausage Party X PPJ. And if you guys want to see that happen, please make sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Or Instagram and TikTok is at Passion Project JP. And on YouTube, it's Passion Project Japan. Yeah.
Okay. Now remember to subscribe to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well if you just want to listen to what we're talking right now.
Yeah.
At Passion Project Japan. Right?
Yeah. So thank you so much, Matt. This is the episode. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.